If you're newer to knitting and you don't quite understand how the stitches mount on the needle, or if something looks a little off, or if the stitch is too tight, what's going on? Well, that is where being able to read your stitches comes in, and also how you can work and sort out a twisted stitch. So a twisted stitch is where instead of having the right leg of your stitch in the front, you've got the left leg, so it's mounted the wrong way around. And if you knit it that way, you'll twist it and instead of having it as a straight stitch. There are lots of different ways that you can correct it on your needles, or if you've discovered that you've done this a few rows down, that you can drop down, straighten it up and pick that stitch back up. So keep watching if you want to learn how to sort out your twisted stitches. If you're new to knitting and you haven't really looked at the way stitches are put together before, we're going to deconstruct how a stitch is put together in this video, and tied with that we're going to take a look at how it can get twisted and how you'd fix it. So this is what a column of stockinette stitches looks like. So if it's in the round, it's knit every round. If it's flat, it's knit on the right side and purled on the wrong side. I'm going to take it off here, and you can see when you're looking at it straight on, there's two legs to the stitch. This is the right leg and this is the left leg. And if a stitch is mounted on your needle correctly, it's turned so that the left leg is in the back and the right leg is in the front. And what that means is that under normal circumstances, when you knit a stitch, you're going to knit into the front leg, and that's going to give you a straight stitch, and it's going to give you stockinette stitch looking just the way you expect it to look. Now, what happens if a stitch gets twisted? Maybe you wrapped the yarn the wrong way. So for instance, if normally when you wrap the yarn, you come around it like this, which I believe is clockwise, but if you go anti-clockwise, but if you go the wrong way like this, when you knit that stitch, you're actually going to mount it backwards, so that when you encounter it in the next row, it's going to have the left leg in the front and the right leg behind, so it'll be the wrong way around. Now, if you encounter this, what you can actually go ahead and do is you can just pick it off, lay it towards you the way it should, and then put it on so that the left leg is in the back and the right leg is in the front. Now I'm going to undo this because that was an extra stitch that I'd done, so I'm going to knit that normally. So this first one here was twisted, and you can see you'll know it's twisted if you're a new knitter, because if you go to knit into the front of it, it'll feel wrong. It really feels like you're twisting that stitch. So if your stitch feels a little wrong, stop for a second and take a look at it. See how it's mounted. Check which leg is in front, and this side you can see this is the left leg is in front and the right leg is behind, so that's wrong. So what you can do is you can take it off, lay the stitch flat, and then turn it so that the left one is behind and the right one is in front, and then when you knit it, it's going to feel correct. Now there's actually a little hack or a quick shorthand that you can use that's going to make that a little easier. So if I come along to this stitch, which is mounted backwards, I try to knit into this side again, it is quite obviously trying to twist it. So I can see that my right leg is in the back and my left leg is in the front. Now you can take it off like you did the previous one, or you can actually correct it on the needles. So when you're normally knitting a stitch, what you're trying to knit into is the front leg. But if your front leg is over here at the back, knit into the front leg sitting at the back of the stitch, and then when you knit it, it will actually correct the mount and give you a straight stitch. So you're basically doing two steps together. Instead of taking it off and turning it the right way, you're just knitting into the side that is naturally going to correct it. Now the last place you may encounter this is a few rows down where you haven't realized what was happening and you've just forced it and you've knit it. And so what you'll get then is a twisted stitch further down. So this is what that will look like. You see this stitch, which is a line going this way. So you can correct that without having to undo everything, but you need to drop the stitch down. So you just drop that off the needle. You take the first row out here, and then when you take this one out, this stitch is going to pop the other way around. So you can see we're just going to correct it down here. So we'll pull this out and make this sit straight like this. If you've got a crochet hook, you can put this in and lift the stitches up. But if you don't have a crochet hook, put that stitch on your needle correctly mounted with the right leg in front. Take the next strand over here, pop it on,
lift this stitch over it. So that's the same as if you're pulling the crochet hook through. Then you go put the next one on and you lift that through. So you've picked up all the stitches without a crochet hook. It's correctly mounted and you can now knit the next stitch. So an awful lot of knitted problems can actually just be corrected on the needles as you work. So if you encounter a stitch that doesn't seem like it's sitting in the right way, double check whether the right leg is in the front, and if it's not, correct your mount. So have fun fixing your knitting.